Hi there everyone, welcome back to Dandelion Delphi. So today we're going to look at different objects on the form that make use of items and item indexes. So here is an example of one of those objects. This here is called a radio group. And if I click on one, you will see it will be highlighted. And if I click on another, the first one that I clicked on will be unticked or unselected. So in a radio group, we can only select one item at a time. And the values that you see here are called the items. So the word movie is an item of the radio group. If you have a look at the object inspector, you will see there is a property called items. And in that property, you can type in all these values and they will be added to your items of your radio group. Here is an example of a combo box. So the value that you see here at the top that says select your type of ticket, that is the text property of the combo box. And the other values that you see here that I can select from, those are the items. So if I click on one, I have clicked on the item student. So all of these values are also items of the combo box. And this here is an example of a list box, which also have items. And the three types of school that you see there, those are all items of this list box, and I can select them. The reason why this popped up here is I actually coded on the inside of the list box. So I double clicked on the list box, and when someone selects a value from or an item from my list box, I have ask them for input using an input box. So here is two other examples. The first one here contains grades and then degrees and honors. And this would be one of those objects, either list box, radio group, or combo box, items that appear on them. So any one of these objects make use of the same code. We deal with them in the same way. They all have items. And once you've added items to the objects, Delphi then allocates an item index to each of the items, starting with the top one being 0. So if we have a look at the radio group combo box or list box that contains the name of our provinces, if we look at the item Limpopo, the item index will be 4. Now, if the user clicks on the item, let's say grade 10, Delphi then records that they selected the item index number 2. And to extract the item, which is a string data type, from my radio group combo box or list box, I will use this code down here. So I am going to store a string because items are strings, and then I follow that with the name of the object, dot items, and in square bracket I indicate the index number using my name of my object dot item index and ending the square brackets there. So if the person clicked on grade 10, this here will have a 2 in it, and the word grade 10 will be stored in as item, since the item index number 2 contains the item grade 10. As can be expected, the item indexes are all integer values, and if you had to store only the item index, then you could use this code here, where you have an integer on the left of the assignment statement and assign the name of the object dot item index on the right. Now, if we want to create a reset button and we want to clear the user selection, you will simply use the name of the object dot item index and assign that item index to -1, as that is the value of the item index if no item on these objects were selected. In our previous lesson, you learned how to use case statements, and these case statements are often used with these three objects because the item index is an integer. And remember, a case statement, between the case and the of, we have to have an ordinal value, either an integer or a char. So this creates the ideal place for us to use a case statement. And what I will do is I will put the item indexes here as my options. If this here was my radio group, item number 1, which is index 0, is grade 8. So if the user clicked on grade 8, I am counting my grade 8. If they click on grade 9, which is item index 1, I then count the grade 9s. So we have to go back a little bit to validation, because now you are able to do more validation. And this type of validation is called a presence check. The presence check first of all, in the top example, it is showing us how do we test if someone entered anything in an edit box. We can use an if statement to test if they have entered anything in the text property by testing if edit.text is equal to an empty string. That's just your 2 single inverted commas next to it. And below this will typically follow a begin and an end with a message and an exit. But we can also test a presence test if the person selected a value from a radio group, combo box, or list box. We know that the value -1 means it's unselected. So in my if statement here, I can test that the object.itemIndex is equal to -1. And if it is -1, it means they haven't yet selected an option. And then I can have a begin and an end with a message and exit the procedure so that they can't continue with the rest of the procedure. So all this information plus everything you've learned from day 1 should assist you in doing the next activity. Have fun!